Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And this is still the $200 TRX200SX, but before you guys shut down the video, remember there was like a million things wrong with it. And if you're going to bring one of these back to life after you find it out under some tree somewhere and then buy it on Craigslist like I did, you got to go through each situation. Remember, we think all the real shutdown problems started when this thing threw the chain and cracked the case, right? At that point, it's spilling oil all over the place. You can only ride it a short distance without it running itself out of oil. So that's what we think took this thing out of action, okay? Now, to me, it's a little strange because the back axle appears tight, right? I don't seem to have any play in the swing arm, and I don't seem to have any play in the axle. I haven't put the chain on yet, and I'll do that. Maybe the chain is just loose, stretched, so to speak. So I'm going to take a look at that. One item. Item number two, we did not have a battery in this thing, and part of the reason was the terminal was no good. So I went through my hoard of terminals, and of course, when you have a hoard, you have every size except what you need. So I went through my box of terminals and my little container of terminals, and they were all just a tad small. So the way around that is you get a piece of, copper pipe, cut about 1.25 inches off of it, smash down one end and drill a hole in it, and then so that's the end I just described. And then this end, you strip the wire back, you put it in there and smash it down. You want to be very careful. This is the negative terminal, and I really don't care if it touches body here. If that were the positive terminal, you would have to be a lot neater. I actually recommend keeping the boots on them, right, so that you don't rub up against the battery, especially in this case where I'm kind of run the battery up against the frame, and especially in this case, right, I'm running kind of a loose battery, so you want to pay attention to that. One could also put a piece of plastic here, perhaps from a milk carton, soda bottle, or whatever, and keep things from rubbing. So now that we have a battery into it, remember we had no lights, so I kind of started in the back, and I realized that the light bulb was good, but I wasn't getting connection in the socket. So I cleaned all that up, and then I checked, and there was no power coming to the back. So I said, well, let me go up front and spend a few minutes with the headlight. What I found with the headlight was that this switch is stuck in low, and the low filament is burned out. The high filament is still good. So I kind of swapped wires such that now I'm pushing the right button. Oops, wrong button. There you go. So I kind of swapped wires. Did I fix it? No, it needs a new light bulb. But I swapped wires, so at least when you turn the lights on, you have something. Obviously, I need a new switch here. The China version of this switch is pretty cheap, but you got to completely rewire everything to make it go in, because it's not as simple as just plugging things in and out. The Honda version is much more expensive, a much better quality, and if you buy the right one, it's plug to plug interchangeable. The difference in price is, I think the cheap one from China is somewhere around $10-12, and I think the official Honda one is $50 plus or minus 10, depending where you get it. So there you are. What am I going to do next? I'm going to put the chain on it, and let's see what that looks like. And I'm trying to work this thing closer to the point where we could actually get a ride out of it. I'm done monkeying around in here, so I'm gonna, oh, speaking of monkeying around in here, I hooked up the yellow wires, yellow to yellow. Some people say, which way does it go? If they're not marked, don't worry about it. If you're taking it apart, I do recommend putting a 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and hooking the 1s and the 2s where they belong. But once again, if you found it pre-disconnected or if you didn't pay attention, you know, it really doesn't matter. I fixed the yellow wire here, and you know, I got a million connectors and all. I decided to use this kind of connector, kind of a butt end connector, to get the length back to the wire, because I didn't want it to be the short wire always pulled on. This outer casing could slide up and cover this, and it'd be good as new and one can't tell. Once I get it started, I got to check the battery voltage and see if it's charging. This battery seems to be walking wounded. I was using it to run those power wheels that were in front of the house, you know, for when kids visit, and you know, I'd charge it up and the kids would run the heck out of it, and I'd charge it up again. That seems to have wounded it. This battery is maybe 5 months old, and it doesn't seem to be holding a charge very well anymore. I could show you that. See? So, probably enough to get one start out of, but not really effective. Well, it's actually a very good battery for checking the electrical system. I'm sure if once I start it, if it doesn't have any charge going into it, it's gonna show me less than 12 volts, especially if I turn the lights on, right? There's really no charge. If there's no charge going into it, it'll show me, you know, 8 or 10 volts rather than the full thing. So anyway, I'm gonna finish, you know, kind of chipping away at this. That's the way it goes with these. Doesn't make great videos, you know, I'm just kind of showing you how I do things and kind of talking about why I'm doing them, and also mentioning certain shortfalls, like, you know, don't let your positive terminal touch there. Why I use that kind of connector to get the length back in the wire, you know, the kind of butcher job I did so that I have some kind of light there, even though the high the high beam is running on the low, but the switch is stuck anyway, so who cares? Well, it's about time to take a ride. So I put the sprocket and chain on, and if anything, the chain is slightly tight. It has all the bolts that it should have back here, right in there. So I think I'm going to try a ride with it the way it is. I don't think it's going to throw the chain. And quite honestly, with that front tire as it is, I'm not thinking I'm going to be going all that fast. As you can see, I lashed the gas tank to it, fuel valve. I put a single stage air cleaner on it. I checked to make sure that it was good, and I swapped the battery out. I'm putting that battery through a little more complete charge. Maybe it'll come back, but that battery is a good, decent battery. Choke on. What do I have to do? Gas on, key on. You could see we're down to 12.7 volts. I specifically mentioned that because when I start it up, we'll be able to see if the battery's charging. So you can see 14 volts. So my battery's charging. It's idling. I got a gear shifter there. Get this out of the way and take this puppy for a ride. So this is the first ride. I got my real comfy seat here. Just got to pay attention. It doesn't get melted. I also got to watch that. I'm going to turn the idle down just a touch. You guys ready? That front tire makes your handle weird. Real weird. Like very tail heavy. Tightening the guns for deer season. Right in Calvin's corners there. You know what it runs? Great. It's awfully noisy sound. I thought I had an exhaust system on this thing. Maybe that's not true. Maybe the other one has the exhaust system. Yeah, this thing steers bad. I haven't even left first gear yet. Switches all figured up. Quite honestly, it's disconnected. I literally cut the wires inside the case, inside the stator cover. Yeah, this is running on the OEM ignition system. Looking at my special coil box on it. Speaking of which, I was asked a question about the coil box. Quite honestly, if you don't want to put batteries in it, and you got 12 volts available, just hook the ground up to the negative. Hook the positive up to a switchable 12 volts right on the ignition switch. For this thing, it would be the black wire coming out of the ignition switch. If you hook up to the red one, it'll be turned on all the time. When you're not trying to get spark out of it, doesn't use a lot of battery. Probably within, I don't know, 5 to 10 days on the outside, it would kill a halfway decent battery. So the annoying thing is, you just keep coming up to it, finding the battery dead after a week or two. Like, it's obviously annoying. Yep, it rides as bad as it looks. Back to first. Well, do I pick? There we are. Even turn the lights on quick. See? And she's off. So I'm happy. It moves. That's a big step forward. Also, this is about the most it's run. I've not leaked any oil out of this thing since the case repair, right? But we'll let it sit here overnight. We'll look underneath it again. It used most of the gas I put in it. Yeah, this thing is loud. Considering it has a full exhaust system on it, it's pretty loud. That's strange. So, here it is. What could be said? I guess if one wants to be Mr. Cheap Person, and you know, you're just a kid trying to get something out there to ride on, you know, you can jump start it and get it running. Forget the ignition system. You can forget about the starter there. I really don't recommend that because you can end up with a chewed up ankle. I mean, these are high top boots and all, but even with that, you really don't want to ride it with the with that starter basket spinning like that. It can make a mess out of you. But $7 for the epoxy repair. You could buy a pulse generator for about $20. I got a cover with a good one on there, so it was part of the deal. Just to refresh you guys, this is the one that had the bad case. It had the bit, the screwdriver bit, blocking the intake valve. This one, the timing was set up badly. I think this is the one that was stuck in gear. I had to mess with the automatic clutch adjustment to get that fixed. The chain was off. I didn't get a recoil with it. The lights did not work. You know, the wire. We had to fix it back here. I mean, this thing is about as bad as they come. Quite honestly, you know, this is about as bad as they come, and you could manage to bring them back to life. Anyhow, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I really want you all to keep your feet down, your heads up, and I want you all to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.